All right, we are live.
There we are, folks. We are in. We have cracked the code on the technology. Just so you guys know, when you hit live on our end, there's this like awkward delay of like 5 or 10 seconds before it actually goes live on Facebook. So you're always like, am I live? Am I live? I'm live. That's how the first 5 or 10 seconds go. Anyways, we are back for another week of SEO agency talk, and you guys are building some cool stuff. Obviously, I got the man himself, Mr. Lane Train, the SEO wizard. I said to me,
welcome to our weekly SEO jam.
I called you the evil wizard the other day, and to me, it's like when Ilka and I used to brainstorm and dream up stuff, we would always keep a notepad, and brainstorming just felt boring to me because I really felt like we were creating visions and dreams and stuff we could build together, and so we wrote on an evil scheming, thinking of like Pinky and the Brain. And so whenever I say evil scheming, that's like a loving word. So when I call you the evil SEO wizard, I mean you create visions, you make cool stuff happen.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. So
anyways, folks.
Oh, go ahead. It's all you.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say we wanted to do this week some live analysis for you folks and show you guys, inside of some sites. We were just talking behind the air. I think we're just gonna pick some random kind of local business, but I wanted to kind of talk you guys through how Lane thinks about an analysis, because I'll tell you one of the things I struggled with for a lot of years, even like almost 10 years into it, is there's literally so much conflicting SEO advice that it became really hard to just make sense of it all, because one person says do this, one person says don't do that, another person says it doesn't make any fucking difference, and go really fast, go really slow, and Google likes this, Google doesn't like that. And I found for me what cut through the noise a lot is when I learned how to run my own analysis, and then I could kind of look at what is Google doing in real time and like making sense of like why am I consistently seeing these kind of things across the board. And you learn that by like literally just running data and analysis, like the boring fundamentals. But anyways, I'll turn the floor over to you, Lane. That's enough Frankie Fihn rambling. Let's have some fun with this.
All right, sounds good. Let's I'll share my screen. You should be seeing my screen, right?
Yeah, I see your screen.
All right, so I'll just do a Google search here. We'll go and we'll pick on the solar guy. Actually, we'll bring this up here too.
Yeah, I'll tell you, as a guy, obviously I'm not in solar, but I'm like, when I see less than 50 reviews and you're number one, like the opportunity to be that guy who gets really good at getting reviews and has 1,000 of them is like massive.
Right. Yeah. So, Google keeps kind of effing with how these search results work, whether you're on desktop or mobile, you get the bigger, all that kind of crap. But
yeah,
if I want to actually go in and see, there we go. So I'm running so one of the things that I'll just kind of preface everything with this. I would install the Plepper Chrome extension, Plepper. Plepper. That is this box that pops up, and it pops up anytime you load a GBP listing. And so when this opens up, this Plepper Chrome extension gives you lots of intel around this GBP listing, like what categories are they actually listed in, not just the primary, but all of them.
Yeah.
In this case, there's only 2 of them. He's probably missing a few categories there. It gives you the place ID. It gives you the CID. It gives you, obviously phone, website, address is hidden. So he's got this guy's a service area business that's actually ranking number 1 with only, with minimal reviews. So, interesting. So there's definitely I would say, hey, my first blush of this search result is, hey, there's some opportunity here for someone else to kind of come in here and pick one of these or some of these guys.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you mentioned the service area and we kind of talked a little bit about the reviews, but when you see opportunity, how do you see the fact that essentially what you're telling me is these guys are beatable?
Yeah, well, so anytime you see a service area business ranking in the first spot, I always go, well, that's an opportunity, because service area businesses are at a disadvantage to businesses that show their address. So, here you see the address is hidden. If we go to Blue Solar.
And I think a lot of trades don't understand. Well, they're like, well, it's an office that nobody ever goes to.
And right. Here you can see on Blue Solar, they actually have a physical address. And so, yeah, like this is just an opportunity to kick this solo guy out. Well, we can go to his website over here and kind of look and also see. I immediately see weaknesses. Okay, so what do I see? Well, I see no services page. I see no locations or location pages in the menu.
Also, like the headline doesn't even really mention that he does solar. It's just like something about reliable.
Yeah, and I'm looking more from like what is the the bot gonna, when it crawls this, what's it gonna see? And these are the main things that I'm looking for. Like I don't see a blog art, a link to the blog. Obviously, this is good. Request a free quote. That's the number one question that everyone in a consumer position has typically is what's it going to cost. So go down to the footer here and see what we got down here. We really don't have a footer, so let's see. I'm going to guess this is probably a one-page site. Yep, this is a parallax site. You can see how it's all on the same page. So this is what I would say, again, I would double down on. This is a lot of opportunity, right? This guy has a really...
they're ranking with a very, 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 very incomplete one-page site, like just the opportunity to
right. And let's see if he has a site map.
I'm sure you're going to get there, but I'm just curious, like, would you also look at and analyze their link profile for their site for somebody local? Would you go?
Yeah, sure. So what I would do is I would go in here and I go to our, our white labeled search atlas account, and I would come in here and enter in the solar guy. Here's site audit. Top one page. Because this guy only has like what it looks like. Well, he might have like, he has one page. I'm gonna guess. Yeah, he's got the hello world. So you can see just by a very quick, he's got basically 3 pages, plus the hello world blog post. So he's got 5 pages. So yeah, I'm in here. There's the solar guy. It's gonna go ahead and run the audit.
So can I ask you, when you see like a 3-page site, because I see it as like a content opportunity that we could be the ones answering the questions and talking about which type of solar to use and when to install them and how the electricity bill works after the fact, and all the questions that you could obviously figure out through research.
Yeah. So actually, I'll show you real quick. I'll get this, but I just bought this new book. I'm gonna give it away to some people as a gift, and it's called "They Ask You Answer," and it's a really good kind of blueprint around how to kind of answer the questions that your market, your audience has, and that's exactly what the algorithm wants in many, many ways. And that's not like the only thing the algorithm wants, obviously, but a big piece of this and helpful content and having a helpful site is answering the questions that the market, the audience is going to have. And this company is doing a terrible job. We'll pick on them, the solar guy. He's doing a terrible job. Like FAQ. Okay, well, so he has some here, but look at the answers. Like each one of these could be a whole page of content answering this question.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So the fact that he's ranking here, in this number 1 spot, it might have to do with his exact location and my exact location, but either way, any page 1 rankings that this guy has, I'd be looking as a competitor at knocking him right out. And what I would say here is because he's ranking number 1, the other competitors are probably weak as well. And so, when I look at the search result, I look who's actually ranking, and do they actually have authority? And that, for me, if I were, an agency, I'd be like, well, this solar guy is a prime opportunity to go close as a client because he's clearly got a lot of weaknesses and is exposed to being bumped out of those number 1 spot. And maybe if we go do searches in Denver or in other areas, maybe he doesn't show up at all. So anyway,
like kind of
a quick little insight.
Yeah, I think what you're hitting on is so important, and I think about that. When we used to do SEO, especially on our own stuff, not necessarily on client stuff, but like if you're going to rank for certain keywords, like you usually want to make sure it's a winnable fight. Like if you're trying to outrank joesblog.org, you probably got a better chance than if you're trying to unseat CBS News or something like that. And you kind of obviously just mentioned that because you kind of do that intuitively, but I think that's an important part is like, actually knowing what you're really up against so that you can decide whether or not that's even something, because it's also important because you want to be able to represent that to a client. If that's a very like stiff kind of difficult competitor and it's going to take some time, like you want to be real with them about that fact that, hey, ABC Plumbing is kicking your ass by a lot versus
Right.
like, no, I think these guys are beatable, and it changes the amount of time and the expectations associated with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, being able to just quickly evaluate sites and look for weaknesses, and strengths, of course. I mean, if there's strengths there, it's always good if you're talking to a prospect. Hey, your website's really strong in this department, but let me point out some of the weaknesses that we can definitely improve upon. And if or when we do that, you're going to see some great benefits from that. And then go into, here are the things that we found that we see. And, I mean, my eyeballs, having done this now for 14, 15 years, I can just go right to a site and start to just look for things like, all right, number one page site, right? No blog. That means their entire blog structure is missing from the site. We know it's built on WordPress. We can see that. And you can also use a Chrome extension called Built With, and that will also give you tech that is kind of loaded onto the site. But when you come down here to things like widgets, like Nitro Pack, Rank Math. All right, we know Rank Math's a WordPress plugin, so I can easily determine that this is a WordPress site using a Built With plugin. But so if it's a WordPress site, like it's got a decent foundation or shell, but it's missing all this, content opportunity, page opportunity, which are all opportunities to teach the algorithm as we build out this site. And so, I mean, this would actually be a really good prospect because he's already doing well, at least a little bit. He has some authority. We see him ranking, but man, tons and tons of opportunity to build out the blog, build out the service pages, the location pages, put in his, maybe even advise him to get a name or a business address so that he can actually not be a service area business, whatever, right? There's lots of different opportunities. Here you can see he's getting an error and loading his reviews. And so lots of opportunity. These are great prospects to go after, in my opinion. So that's kind of how I look at search, look at who's ranking. Are there weaknesses or opportunities there? And then, do I want to target on the top 3 because there's opportunities there, or do I go into who's ranking, in spots 4 through 10 and go after them because we know they're not ranking in the first page?
Yeah, and you kind of also showed me that, like, if you kind of look at those 4 through 10, like from a perspective of an American football field kind of thing. I say American because we got lots of international folks here too. For those in the United States, just football, but you guys know what I mean. But the people who are 4 through 10, it's not like you're taking them from their 1 yard line and they're on their old goal line and you got to bring the ball 99 yards. It's like they're more like at the 20 and they're in the red zone and they're kind of like close to getting 3 points already. And it's like, I would take it from here the rest of the way. And so, that was one of the things Lane showed me early on, is that a lot of the opportunities are the people who are 4 to 10, where you're not trying to move mountains to get them ranking. It's more like you're pretty close already. If we just added to that and fixed a couple of these technical issues and built out your helpful content and so forth, like it wouldn't take a ton to get you to the end zone. We're 2 first downs away kind of thing. And we got a big hulking running back like me who can, run it across the goal line. But I just say that to you guys because, when Lane's assessing those opportunities, that's a lot of what he's looking for. He's not looking for somebody that's like 1 yard in their own end zone and you're going to have to be the hero and do everything and save that business, but rather somebody who's already taken the ball 70, 80, 90 yards up the field by themselves. And now it's like, okay, I can be the one who takes you across the goal line. So I just wanted to share that piece because I thought when you showed me that was a really, really brilliant analysis.
Yeah, and the other way to get quick wins is, with those types of prospects is little zip code changes where they're ranking in the 4th spot in this zip code, and all you got to do is move them to spot 3, and now they're on page 1 in that zip code or city. Going out, from the grid, in terms of ranking them out, going out, concentrically, and so a little focus in your content on some, well, okay, let's open up. Hey, they're in spot 4. Let's go back to this example here. Let me go back and share one more time here.
Yeah, actually, something like this would be perfect. So those of you guys in the solar niche, you should probably outreach some of these guys in the 4 spot because, like,
yeah. So like this, let's Valor Roof, right? We'll go here, open up Valor Roof, and go. They're in the 4 spot, and they're in. I don't know. I don't want directions. Jeez. They're in Lakewood, right? And so if we do, let's just. Lakewood. Okay, there it is.
Can I just say, in case we haven't mentioned it and it's not clear, like these are not like clients of ours; these are just random sites we're searching.
Yeah, I'm just doing random just stuff here. So Valor Roof, right? Let's say they were a prospect, and if I were to start, I could run some GeoGrids on them, and go, all right, well, they're ranking pretty good, really close to their office here, but right over here, kind of in the city center in Lakewood, they're in spots 5 or 6 or 7 for, solar company near me or solar installers, whatever, good keywords, right? And so all I have to do is okay, well, Belmar Park, let's put Belmar Park and maybe some of the points of interest around Belmar Park into our content, and maybe create a location page on the website around the neighborhood of Belmar Park and Stanton Hills. And all of a sudden, I guarantee you, what'll happen is, if we do a location page and then we do a Signal Genesis press release and amplify and run some authority to that new location page, you'll see the rankings pop in this area here for that client, right? And so those are some strategic ways. We don't want to try and get rankings way out here, way like in Denver proper. Let's try and get them ranking in closer areas where they're in spot 4 or 5. And if we can bring them up 2 spots into 3, boom, we went from page 2 to page 1. And they're going to start getting phone calls and leads, out of that new neighborhood area, out of those new rankings because they went to page 1. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So that's another strategy that we can, and so I would use
exception we got going on
when you're talking to the prospect, say, give them this example like this. These are the opportunities and these are the quick wins that we can help you get. If we focus on some of these strategies where you're in spot 4 or 5 or 6 right now, like Frankie was saying, some quick, easier wins. We don't have to move you from spot 20 to spot 3. We can move you from spot 4 to spot 3, and all of a sudden you're on page 1, and now we're getting new phone calls from a new area where the grid went from red to yellow to green.
Yeah,
with some very specific focus on neighborhoods, cities, zip codes, points of interest, and that's all helpful content if you craft it in a way around a location page and then run some authority, some links, or a digital PR to that location page. That will translate into new GeoGrid rankings as well in the map pack.
Love it, my dude. Yeah, and as you pointed out, like nobody's doing that already, so it's not as if you're even trying to like create some of those location pages and then overtake somebody who's like already well optimized. You're creating almost new market share that somebody Perry Marshall called it. In a lot of ways, the opportunities is like if you see a field and there's like one sidewalk going this way and then like a right angle and it turns, and you notice that there's like a dirt path where you can tell people just cut across that field. Mm-hmm. Well, those are the opportunities where somebody should make a road there, or somebody should build some kind of system there. And chances are, like, in that little neighborhood you showed, like people are looking for solar and they're probably not getting someone who seems to be specifically, located right there, even though that, as we mentioned, this Valor Solar is like literally down the street from them.
Right.
And so the opportunity to kind of own that space SEO wise is just like it's right there for the taking. And that's just one of like thousands of little opportunities like that.
Yeah. So if you're an agency or an SEO pro and you're like going, how do I, just do a quick assessment like this, pull up the website, pull up some search results. I usually do like 3 or 4 keyword searches. If I'm looking at a specific area, I want to find some prospects. I identify the prospects that are typically in spots 4, 5, and 6. Whatever, 4 through 10. And then you can pull up their website, pull up their Google listing, have the Plepper Chrome extension running so that you can get some more intel on their Google business listing. And then you can record a Loom video or record your screen and just go to their website, show them some of the strengths, some of the weaknesses, go to their Google listing, show them some of the things that are not completed or that are kind of non-optimized that can be improved upon. Let them know that this is just a few things. There's other things that you have that you'd like to share with them. Don't give them all the goods, just give them a few things that you see, record that video, send it off to the prospect, and be persistent with trying to get that in front of them. And that is a very, very effective way still today to, get to prospects and add some value to them by showing them, hey, here's some opportunities. Your competition's beating you. And I always use that kind of terminology with prospects because if you're a business owner, you're kind of a competitive type, personality. As an entrepreneur, you got to kind of be that way, wired that way. And no competitor that I know likes to lose, and no competitor that I know likes to lose to their competitors.
Can I just add on that? You just gave folks like a cheat code for selling that locally, because I'll tell you, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Like, local guys know their competitors and they know them by name, and they hate that guy, universally.
They love him and they hate him, right? Sometimes they're best friends and they play golf, but they also hate the fact that they're getting their ass kicked.
Yeah, but it's like, if you're running a race and you got the silver medalist, you're like, damn that gold guy. It's just how it is.
So use that, because that creates an emotional, component in your prospecting, and that human emotion of, I hate that getting my ass kicked, is a really good way to then turn that into, well, let's fix that. Let's go on offense against your competitors instead of just playing, basically passive defense, which is what you're doing right now with your current.
Can I just say that what you did is a really important details. You showed them specifics. It's not like you just ran a backlink checker and said, these are your stats and they're kind of utterly meaningless. It's like, no, in, Willow Park, you guys are number 2 to the solar guy, but man, you're already there in your map listing. If we just optimize these details, that could be you. That's a very specific, tangible, I can see where I would gain a win, kind of thing over, whatever the other ABC roofing or solar is.
And this takes a little bit of time, but it's personalized, and therefore the prospect also knows you or whoever's doing it took some specific time to do something specifically for them, and it's not just some blast email, right? And so there's more value there. That you're communicating it right off the bat, like, hey, I did something specific and customized just for you. Let's talk.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
Well, cool, my dude. I think we're coming up on time here, but that was, to me, awesome. I love the way you think about that stuff, because
thank you.
I think too many people make it hard on themselves by the other thing that you're kind of doing here, to me, is not only are you making it giving them the template for how to sell it, but this also makes it more tangible on the delivery side of what we're actually going to do. So it's not like they're buying into this arbitrary SEO, not really sure when it'll work. It's like, no, we're going to go after Willow Park. We're going to go after this suburb. We're going to try and take these guys on. You got 40 reviews. We need to get to 80. There's specific kind of action steps.
Right. Yeah, there's almost the audit and the way that we just kind of did it implies almost a customized, targeted, specific strategy that's going to be deployed if they decide to engage with you, right? Because you're showing them some specific areas where there's weaknesses, and those weaknesses are also great opportunities that, with some quick wins, can also start to yield some leads very quickly as well. And that makes sense to it. That'll make sense. It also shows, hey, I have knowledge of the local area, right? It doesn't. I don't have knowledge of the local. I don't know those local neighborhoods at all. But all I got to do is go to Google Maps, and I immediately have local knowledge. So
exactly.
That message comes through, like, wow, he's doing something specific for me, or she's doing something specific for my agency, or my business. It's custom. It's not random and blast. It's not AI. It communicates a personal approach with a very specific targeted strategy that will be deployed on their behalf if they engage with you. And those are messages that come through without you actually having to say it.
Yeah. And by the way, can I just say I interviewed a client yesterday about this issue, asking them how they see agencies and what they like in pitches and what they hate. And they said exactly what you just said is like, if it's really personalized and actually it's specific to me and they took some time and thought it through, I always entertain those pitches. When I can tell it's just automated shit, it like goes straight to the delete.
Yeah,
and so even though it's more upfront time, like it's way less time, trying to convince 10,000 people than it is just spend 5 or 10 minutes and have a meaningful conversation with one.
Right. And both strategies work. Like you could do a blast to 10,000 businesses and, you might get some leads out of it. I'm sure you will. Like that's just, it works. Right. But this is not a cold email mass volume strategy. This is more of a very targeted, personalized, laser targeted strategy to go after very specific businesses with a targeted approach. And I always found that way more. I like to do it, but I thought I was adding more value. And I don't like cold email, cold calling, that brute force, like that has its place in sales departments, but that wasn't my approach. So this targeted approach was how I always did it, and always seemed to kind of hit the mark in terms of getting the prospects.
Just went dark on us, Lane. But we're coming up on time for me anyway, so I got a jet. Do you mind just setting the sharings to the public? And we love you guys and appreciate you guys.
Yeah. So you guys all have a great day. Good to see you. Good to see you, Frankie, buddy.
Take care, my man.
You too, buddy. See you.